Мгм.
Что-то я, наверное, сделаю демонстрацию экрана. Ал, дай знать, когда в эфире будем. Hello, my name is Alexander Bazanov. I'm a founder and the CEO of X-Waters World Championship and the editor-in-chief of our website and X-Waters online magazine. And today we have a special guest, is Sarah Tomas. I'd like to share some information about her. In September 2019, Sarah was the first ever person who swam the English Channel 4 times non-stop. So it took 54 hours and 10 minutes, and total distance was 134 miles or 215 kilometers. And so far, no one human being has repeated this achievement. And just a year before this, Sarah completed treatment for breast cancer, and she dedicated her swim to all the survivors from the cancer. And it's not all about Sarah. She was, just a second. Yeah, now you can see her track. And it's not all about Sarah because she were a lot of times she were the first. And she has a lot of records. And so, for example, first one who crosses the Lake Tahoe twice at once, and the first current neutral swim over 100 miles at Lake Champlain in 2017. So a lot of records, an incredible woman, and we have a lot of questions, and happy to invite Sarah to our chat. Алла, подключи Сару, пожалуйста. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
Yeah, do you see us?
Yes, I do.
Sarah, thank you very much for your coming. You are incredible person. And first, what I want to ask you, why do you do that? Why do you do what you do? What pushes you to challenge your limits again and again?
Sure. I love swimming and I love being in the water. I have since I was a little girl. And I think as I got older and older, I really just wanted to see the limits of the human body and what my body could do.
So simple.
Sort of.
And when did you start to swim? You was a child. As a kid.
My mom signed me up for swim lessons when I was about 1 year old. And so I have really learned how to swim since I was young. I joined a summer swim team when I was 7 and then started swimming year round since I was 10. So I've always been a fish my whole life.
But you not only swim, you win. You always win. And what makes you special? Number one, what's your superpower?
Oh man. I think my superpower is just that I'm really stubborn. Whenever you tell me that I can't do something or that I shouldn't do something, it makes me want to do it. And even if things are really hard or tough, then it's my goal to just keep going because I'm very deeply stubborn.
So it's very hard to swim tens of hours without stopping, yeah? And does it happen that you want to give up during your swim?
Yeah, I think on almost every single swim I've ever done, I have wanted to give up at some point. but there's always a reason why you want to keep going, whether it's that you don't want to let anyone down. I don't want to disappoint my teammates who sacrificed a lot to be there, or sometimes I think about like all the money that it costs to do a big swim, and I don't want to waste the money. I think a lot about just the time and the sacrifices I made for training to be there. So there's always a lot of reasons to keep going. And usually there's only one to stop. And so, it's easier to convince yourself that it's better to keep pushing through even when it's hard or you're tired or things don't seem to be going right, because it took a lot to get to where I'm at.
So what do you think during a distance swim? So what do you concentrate on? What's happening in your head?
Everything. Yeah. So many things. And sometimes I'm thinking about my stroke, my technique. Other times I'm talking to people or just remembering things that I should have said to people. Other times I'm just completely calm and my mind is quiet and I'm not thinking about anything other than swimming and breathing. So, you just kind of, there's the whole spectrum. So, if you think about things that you might think about or do during 12 hours, then I probably do them as well, just in the water.
So how do you prepare for your swims? Could you share your usual training program or timetable? What do you do? How do you prepare?
Yeah. So I swim a lot.
Every day or not?
Pretty much every day. When I'm really training, I'm swimming about 6 days a week. I really believe in taking at least one day off. So I think your body and your mind needs at least one day of rest every week. And that is important to me that I get that one day. But otherwise, I really design a training plan around my work schedule and really make sure that I stick to the plan as much as possible. And I usually start small and then build my way up incrementally. Every week and every month gets a little bit farther so that I kind of reach my target distance, and then I hold that target distance for about 6 weeks, and then I start to taper back down before a big event.
So if you prepare for 100-mile swim, how long are your training sets?
Oh man, it depends. I do work. So during the week, when I'm in the pool a little bit more, I go shorter. And then during the weekend, when I have more free time, sometimes I do, up to 12-hour training swims. But usually in my super long swims, when I was training for 100 miles, I was trying to hit about 100 kilometers a week or so of training.
So do you have a coach or do you prepare yourself?
I just prepare myself. I feel like I've got a good background for my whole life of swimming competitively, and especially now after 10 years of marathon swimming, I kind of know the routine. I know what to do. So I just push myself.
Do you train always in the pool or in open water as well?
In the winter, when everything's frozen, I am at 100% in the pool. But in the summer, it's both. Usually about maybe 4 to 5 sessions a week in the pool and maybe 4 to 5 in the open water.
What do you eat? Do you have some special menu? So it's a big,
like during a swim or when I'm training?
Yeah, I mean during your normal life, but your normal life has a lot of swimming sets as well. Yeah.
My normal life, I just eat regular food. I eat what tastes good, what makes me feel energized. I'm not vegetarian. I eat carbs, so I like to eat what keeps me feeling strong.
When I read about your this legendary swim in English Channel, you say that you didn't eat anything, just drink, or am I wrong?
During the swim,
what do you eat during the swim?
Yeah. So during a swim, I have a water bottle, and in the water bottle we put water and electrolytes, and then a carbohydrate powder to get me some calories, and then a little bit of protein. So I eat that most of the time. And then sometimes on the really long ones, so like more than 24 hours, I'll add in solid foods. So sometimes I'll eat cookies, or on the English Channel swim, I ate a lot of M&Ms. Sometimes I like things with rice or oatmeal. And I just do that every, not very often, every 6 hours or so, I'll eat something solid after I've been swimming for 24 hours. So before 24 hours, it's all liquid, just in a water bottle that I drink and throw. And then after a long time, we move to some solid foods just to put something hard in my stomach to make me feel better.
As I know, you are not a professional athlete, so you have a regular job. Yeah, isn't a secret? What is it? So what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I am a recruiter. I actually just started a new job last week. And so I am recruiting for veterinarians. So people to work at vet hospitals to take care of animals.
And how do you combine your work and your trainings and your rest of your life, if there is some rest?
Yeah, there is some rest, hopefully. There's just a lot that goes into balancing and juggling. I have a pretty strict calendar. At the beginning of every week, I usually sit down and plan out what days I'm going to swim, how far I need to swim, and then I work that around my work schedule. And so sometimes that means I swim before work and after work. Sometimes that means just after work. Sometimes it means a lot of swimming on the weekend to make up for work meetings that I had to miss the swim session during the week. So there's a lot of juggling in there. Usually, as long as I'm not like really deep into training, I can fit other things in. So if there's a wedding or a party or something that I want to go to outside of work and swimming, I can usually make it work as long as I have a little bit of advance notice.
Don't you look at the swimming as a possible career, to move fully in sport?
I would love to. It doesn't pay the bills. So, I have to pay the bills. I need health insurance. I don't know how things are set up, but health insurance goes through my work. So if I don't have a job, then I don't have great health insurance. So
please.
There
is a question from one of our swimmers. So did you get any injuries or some health problems because of your swimming?
No.
Because of your trainings? No.
Yeah, I've been really lucky that my shoulders are strong, and I've never had any injuries or anything like that because of swimming.
Yeah. And Sarah, so at X Waters, our main idea is to create, not only for athletes, but for regular people, for amateurs, exciting swimming experiences. Could you share some of your swimming experience, maybe most beautiful and most terrible? What did you get in swimming? What did you fancy in swimming?
Man, I have been in some really beautiful, amazing situations because of swimming. I feel like I've seen things that other people don't get to see, and it's really special. I'm trying to think. Probably my most favorite lake that I've ever swum in was Lake Powell. It's a really long lake in Arizona and Utah here in the United States, and I did an 80-mile swim there, and it was just beautiful. The water was clear, but the sky was clear. So overnight, we could see just so many stars up above. I could see shooting stars while I was swimming, and it was just really calm and beautiful. And Lake Powell is just above the Grand Canyon. So it used to be a river, and then they flooded it so that it became a lake, but it still has this really high, like red canyons that you would see if you were looking at the Grand Canyon in Arizona. So it's just this beautiful, windy, perfect lake. And I just loved being able to swim there. Let's see, and one of my other favorite places was probably in the Cook Strait, which is the Cook Strait, which is between the North and South Island of New Zealand. And that water was beautiful. And it was probably one of the hardest swims that I've ever done because the currents were crazy and it was choppy and I was swallowing salt water, which makes me sick. But then in the middle of it, when I was feeling like really terrible, a huge pod of dolphins came and swam all around. And they were above me and below me and around me. And they hung out for, I don't know, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes when I was feeling pretty sick. And so that swim could have been probably one of my most terrible swims, but then I had dolphins. So you can't argue with being able to swim with dolphins.
Okay, talking about English Channel, when did that 4 times swim? So you met a couple of jellyfishes, yeah? And it was not so cold as usual, yeah? Or not?
Yeah.
How was it? How was it? Could you remember?
Yeah, the English Channel was about like it normally was. It was, comfortable, not too cold, not too hot. And it was similar to other times that I had been in the water there, so it wasn't crazy. But yeah, I ran into a few jellyfish. As I was coming into France, each time there was just swarms of jellyfish everywhere. And I was, swimming around them and dodging jellyfish. I'm really lucky I only hit one of them, but it kind of hit me on the top of my head and then hit my nose and then really landed on my chin. So my chin was like throbbing and sore for a solid 12 hours, but I didn't feel it by the time I finished the swim.
You just keep swimming and forget it.
Yep. Yeah. So I think I looked up and like told my crew like, I just got hit by a jellyfish. But otherwise I just kept swimming through it.
So one more question about your trainings.
Okay.
So again, about volumes. So how long do you swim during your training? So what is it? How many hours or how many miles is your usual training? Or
a lot. Trying to think. I don't know how. I never count hours. My longest, like the craziest things that I do when I'm really.
So you're focusing on distance, not at time. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I usually focus on distance. I usually write a plan that I'm going to hit 80K this week, 90K this week, 100K this week, and build it up that way. So I usually top out at about 100K. Time-wise, the longest I usually do a training swim for is about 12 hours. So sometimes when I'm really into it, I'll do like back-to-back 12-hour training swims on a weekend. But usually I don't go much more than 12 hours for one training session. And usually not much more than 6. On a Saturday, I might go swim 2 hours in the morning and then go and swim another 4 hours in the afternoon. So 6 hours is a really good training base. So I do a lot of 6-hour swims.
Yeah, it's just a working day.
Yeah.
So now I'd like to ask maybe some more technical questions about your preparing for English Channel and swimming there. And since my own swimming experience is not so improved, your is far beyond from mine, I have invited an assistant to help me ask the right questions. It is Natalia Pankina, the rights director of X-Waters Dubai and multiple winner of stages of World Cup in marathon swimming and the first Russian woman who swam the English Channel in 2007. And I'd like to invite Natalia here. Natalia, come on. Алла, подключи Наталью нам, пожалуйста.
Подключаем.
So she was she were a member of Russian national team, and I hope that maybe it will be fruitful to call her to our discussion. Natasha, ты где? Where are you, Natalia?
There she is.
Yeah, she's here.
Hello.
Наташа, звук включи, пожалуйста. Наташа, включи, пожалуйста, звук. Микрофон.
Включила.
Oh, okay.
Да.
Hello, Natalia. How are you?
Great, and you? Good evening, Sasha, and good morning, Sara.
Do you have some questions to Sara?
Yes, you know, it's I was listening your interview, and I also have read some biographies of Sara, so I'm really impressed. I'm impressed, I think, as because I was a professional open water swimmer, and I would say I know by heart and by body how it's not just difficult, how it's painful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is even the most right word. It is a painful. So I really I'm so curious, Sara, because you have swam a lot of very long races. Even I seen that you swam Magog Lake in Quebec in Canada, because I swam that we had a SFINA, one is a World Cup there, but we swam only 36K. Yeah, so we swam to the middle of the lake and back, but you swam two ends. So it's incredible, honestly. So what is your most difficult race? Because first I thought is just English Channel and for ends, but you swam 100 miles, over 100 miles, and more and more and more. So what is your most difficult race?
This will surprise people, but the hardest swim that I've ever had to do was the Catalina Channel. It was my very first marathon swim, and it's one of the Triple Crown swims, but compared to the 100-mile swims I've done, it's really short. It took about 9 hours, but I think my nutrition was off and I didn't pace it right. And so the last 4 hours of that swim hurt more than any of the other swims that I've done. I couldn't raise my arms up over my head for a week. I was so sore, and I've never had that happen since then. Nowadays, usually within a day or so, I'm totally fine and moving around. But that Catalina Channel swim destroyed me. I almost didn't swim anymore. When I finished that one, I told everyone that I was done swimming, and I was never going to do it ever again. And
yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you. What was your first thought about when you finished it?
There's a picture of me. I actually have it above my computer right now that I look at, and I'm just sitting on the shore, huddled in a ball, and saying, I'm done. This is it. I'm never touching water again. But
thank you so much.
Get over it, obviously.
Yeah, but an example. So after the first race, it was thank you so much. I'm done. Never ever. And how did you come back again? Why?
I loved the training for it. It was 2010 was my first year, and I trained so hard, and I met amazing people and got to do cool stuff because I was training. And so I really enjoyed the buildup and the experience of it. And then I think, a few weeks after the memories of how much it hurt went away, I kind of realized, the bigger picture was that was really cool. It's really fun to swim as far as you want to swim. And it didn't take very long, and I had booked an English Channel slot for 2 years down the road. So, my recovery was fast. So I went from I'm never touching water again to hey, let's do the English Channel in a couple of years.
English Channel and for ends.
Right.
Because when I have done it first time in 2007, I even remember it was we were in the training camp, and it was Sunday, so we had a day off. I went to Moscow, so just to recover, mentally recover. Mm-hmm. And I was doing some shopping, and my coach is calling me and say, "Oh, Natalia, we have here is one offer, let's say proposal, to swim the English Channel. Don't you want to try it?" I'm like, "Okay, coach, how long is it?" She's around 34. I'm like, "What is the temperature?" She's 17, 18. I'm like, "Okay, not a problem." I had the races which is colder, so okay. let's try. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Let's do it. And when I came to the English channel the first day, and we went to that Shakespeare beach, and I saw all this really rough sea, all the storm, and I look at my teammate, it's Yuri, because he was doing as a male swimmer, and we looked to each other and we're like, oh my God, what are we doing here? And come on, we swam only in one way, not in 4 ways. And it's, as a professional, it took me, I think, to digest the idea that I have to swim it and cross it, and maybe 2-3 days. Then I'm like, okay, not a problem, we will do it. Now let's think, because we came there to do the world record, the timing. But I don't know, okay, how the idea about the 4 ends came to you?
What was that?
Why 4?
Well, why 4?
Yes.
Because no one had ever done it before. And so I thought I might as well give it a try. I had, I swam it one time in 2012. And that was kind of the start of my idea that maybe I could do it more than once, because I wasn't very tired when I got to France. And I was, it was like a great, so, I get to France and I'm like, I could probably swim back right now. But I had other swims that I wanted to do first. So, I did, in like 2013, I did a few really long swims. And then 2015, I did Loch Ness. So, there was just a lot of build up to getting the confidence to be able to do it more than once. And then in 2016, when I was training for my Lake Powell swim, I also went and crewed for a friend. So I was sitting on a boat in the English Channel while my friend was swimming. And, I'm kind of like looking to England and like looking to France as we're swimming, and told myself, if I do good in this Lake Powell swim in a couple of months, because the distance was pretty comparable, I was like, I'm going to sign up for 4. And I did, my Lake Powell swim was a success. And so almost right away, I was emailing my boat captain, Eddie, and saying, hey, I think I might want to come back and do this 4 times. Do you think I'm crazy? And he was real nice. He was like, no, I don't think you're crazy. We'll be happy to help you.
And it's normal thoughts. Yes, it's normal.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your next goal? What next? So 4 times English Channel. Now what?
5.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that right now. I've got some ideas, but with COVID, it's been really hard to plan and think about things. I'd like to do some long swims, not in the United States, and it's hard to know if we'll be able to travel and when. So I've got some ideas. We'll see.
I think that many now people who are watching, most of them amateur swimmers. An example, even from Dubai, from our club, because I work and I love super sport in Dubai. Just a few weeks ago, we have got 2 slots for the next year for the English Channel. One is a team relay, and another one is a solo. So for sure, I think, and they're watching most probably now, they would love to hear from you about how to prepare mentally, and how did you get used to the cold water? I think this is one of the most important questions regarding the English Channel.
Sure. And I think the answer to both of those questions is the same. And you just have to do it a lot. So the more you're in cold water, the easier it will be. And so the harder you train, the more you're in the water, the easier it will be. And I always tell people, start off easy, start off slow, you build up, don't jump in 10C water right away, start at 18 or 19 and work your way down. And the same with training. Don't just jump in and try and swim a 10K all at once, start with just swimming 1 or 2 and just gradually build yourself up to it. If you're coming into it new without a ton of open water swimming, you really need to give yourself, I think, at least 3 years to build up to it. I have some people, they come and they are new to swimming and they they want to swim the English Channel in September, and it's like, you don't have enough time to build that up. So give yourself at least 3 years if you're a newbie swimmer, and just start little, sign up for some 5K races, then some 10K races, try something at 20K, and just really build up your open water experience before you jump in the English Channel. Because just like you said, you can get there and look out and it's rough and it's cold and it's really intimidating. And you want to be as prepared physically and mentally as you possibly can. So the more you can do to get ready, the better.
Sarah, just from your answer for me, it came another question. All these races, what was the more difficult for you, physical part or mental part?
I have the same question there.
When we talked about like Catalina, that was probably physically the hardest swim that I've ever done. Just because I was in so much pain, my nutrition wasn't right, I was crashing hard. So physically, Catalina was 100% the hardest physical swim that I've done. I talked about the Cook Strait earlier when I was swimming with the dolphins, and that was probably the hardest swim that I've ever done mentally. That was my first swim back from all of my cancer treatment, and I wasn't feeling 100%. And the ocean was rough and it was colder than I expected. I think it was about 15 or 16 C. And I hadn't really been in open water in over a year because of all of my treatment. And it was hard. I had to fight a lot of demons in that Cook Strait swim just to get through it. We thought it might take like 9 or 10 hours at the most, and it took like 15 or 16. And, we started in the morning. I didn't expect to be swimming at night, but then the sun was going down. We got stuck in a current where I was literally swimming in place for about an hour before we were able to break through it. So there's just a lot of things that happened in that Cook Strait swim that I really wanted to quit. And I was really questioning my sanity. And so I think that swim really was probably mentally one of the hardest things that I've ever had to push through before.
What about the English Channel?
What
was the most difficult part for you, was it?
Yeah, that swim was hard, obviously, because it was 4 times. But I was so determined when I went into it. I was a year out of all of my cancer treatments. I had something to prove. And so I had between like 24 and 30 hours, I threw up a lot. So for like 6 hours, I was throwing up in the dark. I'm starting my 3rd lap. And that was hard to push through. There was definitely a lot of me complaining to my crew and saying like, I'm not tough enough. I don't think I have what it takes. I don't want to do this. And them just throwing encouragement back at me. Like, you're still swimming well. You look fine. We'll figure it out. As soon as the sun comes up, you'll feel better. So that piece of the English Channel was really, really hard. But the rest of it was just, it wasn't even a question. We were going to do this. I was going to turn at lap 3 and swim lap 4. Like, there was just nothing that was going to stop me as long as the weather cooperated and as long as the current didn't go crazy. But anything that was in my control and my power, I knew that I could do it. And I was just so determined. It wasn't a question of if I was going to quit. It was, they were going to have to pull me out if it was going to come to that. You know what I mean? I wasn't climbing out on the boat on my own. Someone was going to have to come rescue me before I would quit that swim.
I'm a very stubborn person, but finally I met with a person who is more than me. Because honestly, all my friends who know me, then they were telling me, Natalia, you're so stubborn. You have to calm down. I'm like, I cannot. I want to try this and I want to try that one. And if I put something in my head, it's like, I see this wall, I will break it. Come on, halas, done. But for you, it is something seriously. For me, it is incredible. It's just, I don't know what to say. I have no words. It's like, I just take my hat off for you.
You have to have a fair amount of like determination and stubbornness to do any marathon swim. It doesn't matter if it's 10 kilometers or 30 kilometers. You still have to have that same resolve So it's all, it's all the same, whether it's, 100 or 10, it's the same mentality. So I think that's something I love about open water swimmers, is that we all share that to some degree, because I think that's a trait that almost all of us have, because who wants to like actually swim across the English Channel, right? You have to like really want it. You just don't like on a whim say, I'm going to swim the English Channel today. So I think that's what makes it fun, and what makes the swimming community so much fun.
Yeah, I think another very curious question and maybe funny question. How did you support him, the crew survive with 4 ends? Because in the water, it will be much easier when you're on the boat.
And who are they? Who is your team? Yeah, who is your team? Who are they? And is it a permanent team, or do you collect it for each swim?
Yeah, that's a good question. So permanent teammate is my husband. He comes on almost all of my swims, so he knows everything. He wasn't there for Catalina, but since then, so since 2011, he's been on about every single swim I've ever done. So he's always there. I would never go on a long swim without him. And then the rest of the people are just good friends. And like when I did the English Channel swim, some of them had crewed my Lake Powell swim and some had crewed my Lake Champlain swim. So they all knew what I looked like in a really long swim. They were all experienced swimmers. I think, so my husband was there, my mom was there, and she comes on most of my swims as well. And then the other 3, all 3 of them had done a Triple Crown, and all 3 of them were ice swimmers. So, my other 3, so I had 5 people. So my mom and my husband, and then 3 swimmers. And they were like the best crew that you could possibly have, because they know how to swim. They've been in the English Channel on their own, they've been cold, and then they've crewed for me a few times before. So really special to have those types of people who are able to come and want to be part of your goals and dreams, because you're right, it's terrible on the boat. They were all seasick, they're all tired, they're all cold. My 3 friends who were the swimmers, they were swimming pretty much, they would get in for an hour, and then they have to take a break, and then another person would get in for an hour, pretty much the whole way across. So between the 3 of them, they probably did an English Channel relay, just helping me pace swim. So, they were pretty solid and incredible in and of themselves, for sure.
It's incredible. Right. Incredible. It's really incredible stories for me. Because
Sarah,
it's like...
May I ask a question? There is some question in chat, but I have my own experience about it, and it's interesting for me as well. So when I swim, even so, not so long, but even in 5 or 10K distance, somewhere in the middle, I feel sometimes like I'm nowhere. So I cannot understand where I am. So how far is it till the end, or how many did I already swim? And the question is, how do you check your propulsion? How do you check your distance when you swim like 100 miles or even the English Channel? Do you use a sport watch to, I don't know, do you have some plan? How do you understand where you are, and how do you check your progress?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't ask. So I when I swim, I don't wear a watch at all. When I'm just like training, I just have a regular, boring stopwatch, basically.
Yeah.
But when I'm in a big swim, I don't ask how far it is. I don't ask how far I've gone. Sometimes I'll ask what time it is, just so I have an understanding of how long I've been in the water, because I tend to lose track pretty easily. But I don't ask. I just got back a couple of weeks ago from swimming the Kauai Channel in Hawaii, and I didn't know I was done. Like I wasn't looking up. I still thought I had a while. We were only like 12 hours in. I was expecting a couple more hours. And all of a sudden my kayaker said, okay, this is your last push. You're almost there. And I kind of looked up and I was like, oh man, I am here. And then even like coming into shore, I was expecting more waves, and there weren't a ton of waves. So I was just swimming. I really had no idea that I was almost there. And I think that's really valuable, because if you're so focused on distance and how fast you're swimming and how long it's been and how much longer, you lose track of the swim. You know, it's not about the finish, it's about the journey. And if you're so focused on what's happening in the future, you're not appreciating and enjoying what's happening in the moment. And you can't do your best in the moment if you're worried about what's going to happen a few hours from now. So my advice to people is, whether you're doing a 5K or a 10K or 100K, just keep your head down, don't look up, and just keep going until your crew tells you that you're there.
It's great. So it's changing a little bit different point of view, because really, so most of swimmers, I guess, usually are concentrated on distance and always calculated how many is gone and how many is still be forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you just swim, so you concentrate on process, and the goal is not so important.
Right.
And then the goal come even when you don't expect it. Just
right. Yeah, it's magical when that happens.
It's magic.
Yeah, you know, generally in my swims, I focus on 30-minute increments. That's how often I stop to feed, is every 30 minutes. And so when you take something that's huge, you know, people often say, like, how do you even think about starting a huge swim like that? Because it just seems so daunting, right? And it is. If you're sitting at the English Channel at the start at Shakespeare Beach, and you think that, oh man, I have to swim this 4 times and it's going to take me 2.5 days, maybe 3 days to do this. It's so intimidating, right? The human brain, I don't think, can actually process that. But if you think about it in just 30 minutes, and you're only swimming 30 minutes at a time, it becomes much easier. We can all swim for 30 minutes, right? So that you just swim for 30 minutes and then you reset and you swim for another 30 minutes. And when you're doing that and you're in the zone, those 30 minutes eventually add up to something really great. But if you're just thinking about it in small pieces, it's much more manageable than the whole big thing all at once.
Right. So when you swam like 54 hours, so you work it 54 hours and you didn't sleep for 54 hours.
Correct.
So you probably should be very tired after that.
Yes. You do get pretty tired. You know, you asked me earlier.
How did you support just working statement for so long time?
Yeah. I mean, so you asked me earlier what my superpower is.
Yeah.
My other superpower is apparently I don't need to sleep. So just in my day-to-day life, I don't sleep a ton. So, and I don't drink a ton of caffeine. And so when I'm on a big, long swim, as long as I'm rested ahead of time, you know, I don't feel it. And you're busy, right? Because if you go to sleep, you'll drown. So there's pretty good motivation to stay awake. And then I found just when I get drowsy and maybe start to feel a little sleepy, just a tiny bit of caffeine really perks me up for a while. So I do, you know, after about 36 hours or so, I start adding in a little bit of caffeine just to give me an extra boost to stay awake. But yeah, I'm just apparently really good at not sleeping.
Natalia, what was your longest distance, or longest in duration? So what was your longest swim?
You mean timing?
Yeah, timing.
You don't have an answer?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, Sarah, I really wanted to ask you, do you think your body has a capacity, but I don't think you have it. It is like, it's no limit.
Ooh, I think there's a limit. After,
but you don't know where.
Yeah,
100 hours to stop.
after Lake Champlain, so that swim took me 67 hours to finish. So 67 hours without sleeping. like 104 miles. I'm sorry, I don't know what that was in kilometers, but that was about the end of my limit, I think. I probably only had a couple more miles left in that swim. I don't think I could have gone much longer than that. I think at some point you do have to sleep. I was probably awake total for about 72 hours in that swim, just in the prep, and then by the time I got to go to sleep, and that took a really hard toll on my body. And I don't anticipate that I would want to try another 104-mile lake swim again. Now, I might want to do that in the ocean, but for freshwater, that's probably my stopping point. I don't think I'll do that again, because that was
72 hours, you said.
Mm-hmm. It's a long time to take.
How did you recover after that?
Sleeping.
Yeah, well, it was kind of crazy. So by the time we got to a hotel room, it was like 5 a.m. And we had to be out of the hotel by 10. So I slept from like 5 until 10. Got up, we had like a breakfast. I think we had McDonald's, so that was all that we could find. And then I went and I slept most of the afternoon, got up and had dinner, and then slept the next night like normal, and then got up and was fine the next day.
And ready for new challenge.
What?
And ready for new swim. Or
Yes,
not yet.
100%. Yes. No, I can like swim again a few days later, as long as it's easy. But after those really long swims, it takes a couple of months just to not have pain in your shoulders and stuff. So you have to really take it easy for a little while after a really long one. It's really important.
There is a question from our audience. So honestly, what's your current feeling? What would be your longest swim at current level of your fitness? So as I understood the question, if you just jump into the water right now, how far can you swim?
Man, well, 2 weeks ago, I swam 26 miles in 12 hours and 40 minutes. So that was just a couple of weeks ago. I was not super tired. I probably could have gone quite a bit longer. So I don't know, I could probably go 30, 40 miles right now if I really wanted to.
Yeah. So
yes, Sarah, when you swim, how often you take drinks? Yes, I mean, it's every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes.
Yeah, every 30 minutes.
Every 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if we take like a percentage-wise, how many percentage is a carbo? How many like protein? Or it all depends, because an example, when I swim, it was all depend of water temperature and weather condition.
Yes, it does for me too. If it's colder, I'll have a little bit more calories. If it's hotter, I'll probably fewer calories, but more liquid. So I do adjust depending on water temperature. Just as a rule of thumb, every hour I'm probably having about 250 grams of carbs or calories, 250 calories, and then maybe 1 or 2 protein grams, plus some electrolytes, just generally.
Yeah.
And about 8 ounces of water.
Okay. So let's say go back to the question about capacity. So you think the limit is coming because you felt that you need to sleep, or your muscles are done?
Both. Definitely both.
Or maybe because you wanted already a proper food.
Yes, and to be dry. That's what the hardest thing for me on this swims is, like, just get so tired of being wet. Like a towel starts to sound really, really nice, and a sleeping bag.
Give me my blanket and my pillow. Yes. Yeah.
So, Natalia, do you have any more questions?
I think so far is okay. It's like, for me, just it's so interesting to speak to people, because again, like, for me, I'm taking the races as a professional. Yes. And I love to speak with people who are not professional, who are amateurs, because I would take a Sarah, I think something in the middle. You are not an amateur at all.
We're in the
Yes,
middle.
yes, it's like one of my swimmer who is like now starting to prepare himself mentally to do a solo for to cross the English Channel, and we are talking about like mental things, about what the training he has to do, how it is like, what a plan. And I just mentioned something about, okay, amateur swimmer. He looked, it was in WhatsApp chat, and he told me, Natalia, listen, amateurs, I'm not swimming 20K a training. And then I'm like sitting, I'm like, it sounds like, no, it's not amateurs anymore.
Right. It's true.
Yeah.
Sarah, there is one more question from our swimmers.
Okay.
So the question is about the night swim in deep water. Please elaborate where you concentrate your mind. Do you have some specific mental meditation exercises or tricks for the swimming section? So when you swim at night in deep water, where you concentrate your mind, please share it if you can.
Sure. I have a hard time at night. I can usually do okay for one night. It's you can take in the beauty and focus on all the things around you and above you, and put your focus on your crew or the stars or the sky and not think about what's below. But that gets a lot harder when you get into nights 2 or even nights 3. And that's where I really do like to have pace swimmers get in with me at nighttime. Just having someone else in the water makes me feel a little bit more confident and comfortable. In the English Channel, when I wasn't feeling very well, I did just have a mantra that I repeated in my mind, and I just told myself over and over, I will swim through this night. I will swim through this night. And so I just repeated that over and over, and that's kind of where my focus was. On this last swim that I did a couple of weeks ago in Hawaii, it's very sharky. I've never swum in waters that have as much sharks in them as this Hawaii island channel did. And all night long, I just kept telling myself, I am the predator. I am the predator. So I was hopefully putting out like good, strong vibes into the ocean so that a shark wouldn't be as tempted to eat me. But it is scary. And if you don't at least acknowledge the risks, I think you're being stupid. So when you go into a swim, know what the risks are, know what your limit is, know what the plan is. If we had seen a shark, I would have been out of the water in a heartbeat. I'm not going to mess around with playing with a shark. But really you can't focus on it a whole lot. You have to kind of disassociate and focus on other things that you can control. A shark's going to come up if it wants to come up. And as long as you have your plan and you know what you're going to do, then that's all you can do in that moment. And you just have to kind of push through that fear and hope that you get lucky and that no one wants to bug you for the time that you're in the water at night.
Great. So you concentrate on what you can control and try to
let go of everything else.
Yeah. So Sarah, I'd like to ask you to give a couple of advices maybe for our swimmers. And since you looks like a happy person, you do what you like to do, and you became a number one in what you're doing. It's a rare combination, and I'd like to ask your 2 advices maybe. One for those who want to win, who want to become a number one, and the second one for those who want to be happy about swimming. What do you like to? Could you do it? I mean, how to be happy in swimming?
Yeah.
One, and how to win. The second one.
When I was a kid, I was just middle of the road swimmer. Like in the pool, I am not special. I'm just very moderate, very middle of the pack swimmer. I never won races. I never beat people. When I got into open water swimming, I remember I won a 10K race, and my mom was like, what was the last swim that you won? And I couldn't remember, right? So I'm a very moderate, middle of the pack pool swimmer when it comes to competitive swimming. And I think all those years of just not winning, it really helped develop just like this deep love of the water. You know, I was doing it for me and for my personal best, to be the best swimmer that I could be. It didn't matter what anyone else was doing. I think, you know, so when you're a person who just loves swimming and wants to be happy in swimming, you have to focus on yourself. It doesn't matter that Sarah Tomas has swum 100 miles. It only matters that Alexander has swum 2 miles. And I think that's really important, that you don't compare yourself to anyone else and just focus on your own personal gains and your own personal goals. And, you know, if you do want to take it to the next level and be better, you just have to put your passion into it. I'm passionate about it. I make time, I make sacrifices, because it's what I want to do. And I think that applies to anything, even outside of swimming. You know, what are you passionate about? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? And are you putting your time and your energy into that? Or are you putting your time and energy into things that don't bring you passion and joy? And so I think both of those go hand in hand. I don't think you can be the best. I don't think you can win. I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing if I just didn't love what I'm doing and enjoy being in the water and enjoy the training part of it. So I think you have to have both. And I think it's perfectly fine and 100% acceptable to just be the swimmer who loves the water and enjoys a good challenge, whether it's 5K, 10K, or 100K.
Thank you. I think it was very interesting conversation, and maybe the people will ask something else again, and we would be happy to stay in touch, because sure, you are really inspiring, and we believe that you can show the way to a lot of people who are searching for their bests and for their passion and for their ways to combine their passion with their lives. And you are a great example of her. So thank you, Sarah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you know, I just wanted to add to that it's amazing what you have said. It's all about the journey. Yes, as first, do not compare. This is what I'm sometimes, not sometimes, but mostly when like swimmers are asking me, Natalia, is my timing good or not? But I'm like, don't compare. You have your goal. Yeah. You have to, like, an example, you swam, an example, 20 minutes, 1K, yes? This is your time now. Just work to improve your goal, your timing. Don't compare. It's like, because everybody is unique. But your words about the journey, it's something like, I hope that people will catch it, because it's like, we have to use it a lot.
So for me, thank you, Natalia.
Thank you.
Thank you. For me, it's a very important lesson today about you have to train as is no one around you. Yeah, don't compare, just concentrate on yourself. And you have to swim. When you swim, don't concentrate on your goal, just be in process, just be in your mind. And then you get an extraordinary efforts. And Sarah, there is a question from our partners from X-7. Have you been in Armenia?
Mm-mm.
Do you know this country? Have you heard about it? There is a very beautiful Lake 7. It's about 2,000 meters, so about 1,000 miles above sea level. And our organizers in 7 invite you to come there to the swim and are ready to cover all the costs. If you come, it will be in September. If you are interested, we will send you all the details.
Okay.
It would be great, really, to meet in person somewhere.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We have you good luck And we wish you good luck, and we wish you to achieve your new incredible goals and to impress us again and again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yeah. Bye.